be harvested, and that is very good. What happened to the beans? Did you harvest them as well?
Not yet. The beans are still growing.
Okay, I was looking at students who had performed earlier, and I saw your name here, and I thought maybe you had one of those videos, and see if we can have them played here. Alternatively, you can go back maybe to the maize garden and try to show us all the bean garden if it is already there. And the other time you had issues with the light. I don't know whether, is it possible for us to see any of them, the bean or maize?
Maybe that will be tomorrow when she's prepared.
Probably.
Okay, we have another guest. Sib, your name is not complete. Could you speak to us? Sib, S-I-T-B. I don't know what the name is.
Good morning.
Good morning. What are your name?
My name is Samuel.
Samuel who?
Samuel Tumhimse.
Ah, Samuel Tumhimbise. Okay.
Yes.
But the acronym you put there on your name does not follow the two names. There is an I. What does it stand for?
It was just a mistake.
Ah, it was just a mistake. Okay.
Yes.
Could you rename yourself? Do you know how to rename yourself?
Let me try.
Yes. Do you know that all of you in your schools, you are going to teach some people how to work on Zoom, how to rename, how to present, how to make PowerPoints. I hope you've learned all those skills and you are now perfecting them because you are going to lead on discussions in your school.
Yes.
Byabashaija, Mirembe, and Shannon, are all those skills with you?
Yes, teacher.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. Mr. Minda Patrick, you are most welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Dongu.
Okay, so this morning what we are going to do, we are going to trace the story of Matoke from the garden to table, and we want to see how much you can learn out of that story. And as we prepare to start, may I request one of the students to lead us in a word of prayer? Anyone to lead us in a word of prayer? Yes, Shannon, go ahead.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, thank you for the gift of life. Thank you for enabling us to wake up today. And I pray that as you're here on Zoom, I pray that you enable us to pick something from the videos that we're going to see. In Jesus' name we have prayed. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Shannon. And when you go to school, do not allow the teachers to start lessons without praying, at least the morning prayer, and you don't allow the class to leave for the night without praying. That should be a value you are taking to them if they don't already have it. So I would like to welcome you to listen in to a video. We are going back to somebody who is teaching us about matoke growing You know, yesterday we learned a lot about the oyster nut, and that could be the source. Now we need to find the food, and we are looking at traditional foods. And at the back of our mind, we are saying that traditional foods must be revived. Maybe they have value in them that we are missing. Maybe coronavirus wouldn't have disturbed us a lot if we are looking at our traditional dishes. But now we have forgotten about the traditional dishes, and we are all into chips and chicken. Although chicken can also be traditional, but the chicken of nowadays is chicken that is reared in 3 weeks. It is big. You can imagine what they are using to rear such chicken. And Patrick here should be able to warn us about some of the chicken on the market. So I invite you to listen in. We are going to site farm to learn more about matoke growing, and then we shall go later on to listen in to a cook who is a wonderful cook this morning, and then we will definitely compare notes. So in between the two videos, we shall be coming back to reflect on what we have learned. So I wish you good viewing, and please take note of specific facts within the video.
Greetings and welcome to Site Farm Namulunge. My name is Jita Mwishwa Alexander, a graduate from Makerere University, Bliss, that's Bachelor's of Library and Information Science, and I do work here as a operations manager at Site Farm, plus also I'm a supervisor of the crop husbandry, and I'm also majoring in banana plantation and vegetable farming. Here I do work as an operations manager, as I talked about to you before. I'm going to teach you how to go about with planting and management of matoke, plus also establishment. Now, before starting up any matoke or matoke plantation, the number of factors that you should consider. Number one, the selection of species, of varieties. You should be selective of what you're going to plant. Number one, you can choose to do varieties that do well on the market. For example, we do have, like as you can see here, we do have gonja. This is a local variety. It's also good for, they use it for making gonja crisps. Plus, it's also served raw as plantain. Plus, also there are varieties, other varieties like what they call sweet bananas. Like as you can see here. This variety is a local variety for sweet banana. Plus, there are also varieties that are done for food, what they call matoke in Luganda, like as you can see here. So under the matoke for food, there are also a number of varieties. For example, there is Mbwazirume, Mpologoma, Chisansa, plus also Musakala. But again, as I mentioned, that you who wants to start the plantation, you must do a survey and you go to a farmer, what we normally call benchmarking. So you can go to a farmer and do benchmarking and find out which species are good for you or what is good on the market. So you must deal in that. Number two, you must have a good source of manure if you're going to do a banana plantation. Number three, you also have to be considerate of the spacing that you're going to use in your banana plantation. Then the other factor could be about the selection of the area where you're going to do the matoke. Matoke are well planted, do well in areas that have well-drained fertile soils. So you should be mindful of that as you're taking a step towards planting matoke. Then the other factor that you should consider when you're going for matoke plantation is the management. Now, management plays a substantial role in the matoke and how they do perform. So, as you can see here, if we are to look at this matoke, you will notice that they do have a number of 2 suckers. So there is there is this big matoke that has put on a matoke. Then plus there is this other size, medium size, and plus there is this also small size. So this kind of management is good. It ensures that you have good and quality yields, as you can see at this the banana plant we do have here that has put on a very big matoke. So you need to consider management as you're undertaking your venture of matoke plantation. Yes, then the other element that I had left out is the issue of the market. Now, people on the market do require matoke that can last longer, or they take long to ripen. Now, such varieties we do have like Bwazirume, there is also Musakala, then there is also Chibuzi, which is commonly used for export. So the advantage of such varieties is that they take long to ripen, plus they are good for food, and their taste is really loved on the market. So once you're considering starting a matoke plantation, you should look out for those 3 varieties. Now let's talk about establishment. While establishing your banana plantation, after getting your good suckers, as I mentioned earlier on before, you dig a hole. First of all, we have to do a demarcation of the number of holes that you want to do in a plot of land that you do have. So we normally use a spacing of 13 feet. That is from the plant to the plant. That is 13 feet. Those are about 4 meters. Then if you're to dig a hole, we normally, at Site Farm, we normally use a spacing of, the radius of the hole is usually 2 meters, as you can see here. Then the depth going down, we use a depth of 4 feet going down. So in the middle of the hole, as you can see here, you bring your sucker after getting the good suckers. You bring the sucker and put it in the middle of the hole, where in the middle of the hole there you must put manure. Before putting the sucker, you must put manure there down, well mixed manure. Then after that, you fix your sucker in between or in the middle of the hole. After that, you cover it with soil while adding water, in case that is you've done it in the dry season. Then when you do it in the rainy season, it's fine and well if you just plant the sucker and leave it there to survive on the rains. Then the other bit I want to mention about is weeding. After planting your sucker, you must make sure that there are no weeds surrounding the hole. As you can see here, we have done a little bit of mulching, and there are no weeds here because we did mulching. Number one, as we don't want weeds because number one, they do take up minerals from the soil that could have been consumed by the banana. Then number two, weeds normally act as habitats for pests. So you find that in most cases, most of the pests are on the weeds that are in the banana plantation. So you must make sure you do the weeding carefully. Then the other bit we can mention about is adding more manure. As the plant grows, its nutrition requirements go up. So you need to keep up with adding the manure, because whenever this matoke puts on a sucker, this sucker continues sucking more nutrients from the mother. But as farmers, we need to know that adding manure helps the matoke to, number one, to put on a very big matoke fruit. Then it can also help us to generate more suckers that can be sold off for cash. Yes, that was it. That was all about the weeding and establishment of the banana plantation. Then another management practice you can talk about is desacking. We usually do desacking as the plant grows. As you can see here, we have done desacking already, but we normally encourage farmers, or ideally we want the plant to have 1 or 2 suckers in order for it to put on a very big matoke. As you can see here, this is the matoke, and it has only this sucker. Plus there's also another young sucker here, but we usually desuck, and we do sell the suckers at a price ranging between 3,000 and 5,000 depending on the variety of matoke. But we do sell, they are always available at the farm for those people who want to buy suckers. Plus another management practice I could talk about is staking. As you can have a look here, we have staked here this matoke as a way of providing support for it in order not to be affected by the winds. You know, when the winds come on heavy, we can lose this matoke because they are blown off. In case they are carrying heavy matoke, we do put on support. Now, as you can see, now the other element I could talk about is adding manure. Here at Site Farm Namulunge, we usually add manure to our banana plantation every after 5 months. So we do have farmyard manure. We bring it on into this ditch and mix with forked hoe to endeavor that the manure is well mixed with the soil, in order not to affect to burn the roots of the matoke. Then during the dry season, we also do irrigation. We do have we have a source of water. It's a tap that we use. We normally pump water from the well, and we do irrigation manually using a pipe from the tap. So during the dry season, we endeavor that our matoke receive good amounts of water for them to survive and produce. Well, at Site Farm here, we normally harvest our matoke after a period of 11 months. It's between 11 and 15 months. It depends on the variety. Some of the varieties that we normally harvest at 11 and 12 months include Mpologoma. Then there is also Chibuzi. But then other varieties like Gonja, yellow bananas, plus also what is called Ndizi normally take longer. So we normally harvest them at a period of 15 months. Then plus I do advise farmers to ensure that they don't plant any other crop in their banana plantations. Let's say maize, but ideally someone could plant legumes, for example beans. There's also a legume called lab that is normally planted by dairy farmers. Now these legumes are good because they do add nitrogen to the soil, which is good for the banana. Like any other business venture, while doing banana plantation, banana production, you should also look out for the challenges. These include the pests and diseases. Usually the bananas are affected by what they call banana wilt. So it's a kind of wilt that it's found in the soils that affects the banana. You just notice that the banana is drying off and the leaves are drying off. We usually control this by we do have a substance that we add to the soil. It's a formula that we got from Narrow that we do apply to the soil. It curbs the wilt that affect the bananas. Then there's also a challenge of nematodes that are normally found in the soil. These affect the banana through the roots. So you notice that some of the bananas, for example, if you go back in your village, you notice some of the bananas falling off prematurely before even they put on fruits. It's because of the nematodes. They start eating the banana from the roots. So before it's even ready to produce, the banana is already falling off. So those ones, there is a local method that we use. We normally add hash on the matoke around the area where the roots to kill the nematodes. Plus also there is a concoction we use. We do add garlic, ginger, then also what is called paprika. So it also kills the nematodes. Then the other disease I could talk about could be what is called Sigatoka. Sigatoka usually affects, it's a viral disease that affects the bananas. It's spread by the leaves. You notice that in case your bananas have been affected by Sigatoka, you notice that the leaves are getting golden rust on the edge. So it's usually spread by by a virus, but it's affected normally. The areas affected are the leaves. So in order to curb that, you ensure you cut off the affected leaves and use them as mulches in your garden. Then the other element could be about marketing, where after planting your matoke, how do you sell it? Well, here at Site Farm Namulonge, we do have an outlet in Gayaza where we normally sell our matoke and other products we do have at Site Farm. But then we also look out for people in our vicinity. We usually sell to people. We deliver to their homes. So we do have a group that people make their orders and we deliver to their homes. Plus also we have markets in the nearby schools. We do sell to schools the matoke. That is our major market. The small bunch goes for 15,000 shillings. Then the big bunch usually goes for 30. But again, it depends on the variety. For example, we find that gonja is quite expensive compared to any other variety. So our gonja ranges from between 30 to 45,000 shillings. Then the other the varieties for food, it's between 15,000 shillings to 30,000 shillings. Some of the benefits of having a matoke plantation, number one, we could talk about food. Matoke do provide food not only to the livelihoods of the people around the home, but also to the nation at large. So on top of providing food for the family, you're also providing food for the nation if you're doing matoke plantation. Plus also you get to have income. For example, after selling the matoke, you do get income, and you can use that other income to do for sustainability. Plus you can also do agrotourism, like for example here at Site Farm Namulonge, we are earning a lot of money from agrotourism. People usually come here to do benchmarking on matoke plantations. Those are the major benefits that you can get from matoke growing. Well, I decided to go into crop production because now, number one, I'm passionate about crop husbandry. Plus also, I got interested into matoke plantation because I do used to enjoy a lot of the yellow bananas. While as a kid, I enjoyed eating the yellow bananas. So I think I derived my passion of planting matoke from there as a kid. So regardless of other facets of agriculture, talk of the dairy, talk of the piggery, I have great passion for crop production and more so banana farming and vegetable growing. Site Farm Namulonge it's a family farm, and as I mentioned earlier on, I do work as an operations manager here. But regardless of that, I've also gone to university and I've attained a bachelor's degree. But I decided to come back to my roots because my background is farming. Because number one, farming, I do love farming as a passion. But then there is also a need for sustainability. Through farming, I've been able to get income. Plus also through farming, I've been able to connect with new people through agrotourism, and I've connected with more so delegates and more so other big people in the government. I've come here to do benchmarking, and I've had the pleasure to teach them. So I do find that as an inspiration to my fellow youth out there. I do advise you to come and join the agricultural sector because it's such an interesting sector. Our education system is not that bad, but I do believe there needs to be done some adjustments are needed. For example, we need to go practical. More so if we are doing sciences, talk about agriculture, biology, we need to see that students out there in the schools are doing practical work, not just sitting out, not just sitting in the class and enjoying lessons, but practicability. I believe that practicability is the key to innovation. So most of innovations have been done through practice. So I do believe our education system, we should incorporate a facet of making the students feel like they're in the real world out there, other than staying in the classroom just.
Okay. I hope you enjoyed listening in. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Okay. Who has listened to what? What have you picked out of this session? Just raise your hand and tell us what you have picked out of this session. You can also type in the chat. Some people might have joined us in the middle of the session, but you should have picked some. Anyone? Anyone who wants to share their experience? Anyone? Yeah, anything you listened to that excited you, any information you got from the young man? Hello, anyone? The two Samuel, Shannon, I can see there is Letitia now, there's Alvin, there's Petra, you're most welcome. Mercy, some of you did not start with us. Okay, what advice did the gentleman give us about spacing? You remember when he talked about spacing, how we should be planting? Did somebody take note of the spacing between each plant? Talked about the spacing between each plant, then he talked about the size of the hole and the depth of the hole. Somebody, especially those who started the video, did you listen to that? Or what do you know about matoke growing as far as spacing is concerned, size of the hole and depth of the hole? Yes, Samuel.
Depth.
Yes, Samuel.
He said that the depth should be around 4 feet deep.
4 feet deep. Okay. Samuel and friends, let's take some mathematics here, because at times we hear somebody talk about feet At the time we hear about meters. At some point, he related for us the two units, and he said the Let me just find out from you. Samuel and friends, are you hearing me?
Yeah, Mr. Dongu, you are now back, but when you were introducing the concept, you went off.
Okay, I think the okay, power has just gone here, and that risks our second video, but let's see what happens. So the gentleman talked about spacing between the plants, and he said it should be 13, he uses 13 feet from one plant to another, and then he said that is 4 meters. So I would like the students here to tell me the relationship between these units. If he's telling us that 13 feet is equivalent to 4 meters, so what is the relationship between feet and meters? If somebody told you 13 feet is equivalent to 4 meters, what is the relationship between feet and meters? Can somebody get this for us? Anyone? We are doing some mathematics, and these units are going to be common between you and the farmer. You are going to be talking to farmers. I don't think in our mathematics classes we write a lot about feet. We write about meters, centimeters, kilometers, and so on. And now they've given us a relationship. 13 feet is equivalent to 4 meters. What is the relationship between feet and meters? I hope I have some mathematics students here. We did a lot of mathematics in linear 4, sorry, in P7. Then some people have done a lot of mathematics earlier on at secondary. We want to assume that even when we're on holiday, we're doing mathematics. Tomo Himbise, the hand is up. Go ahead.
1 meter is equivalent to 3 feet.
1 meter is equivalent to 3 feet.
Yes.
That we make quick calculation. And someone has done a very quick calculation there. What would be the the closer estimate, Samuel?
Pardon?
What would be the closer estimate? Because if we are told 13 feet is equivalent to 4 meters.
Yes.
What did you do? By the way, Samuel, let me find out. What did you do to get your answer?
There is somewhere I'd written it in a physics book.
Ah, in a physics book.
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's come out of the physics book and go by the estimate of this farmer, by his estimate, where he says 13 feet is equal to 4 meters. And now, you know, we are going to check on the physics book and the farmer's book. And then we do research and find out which one is closer to the truth. Okay, but Samuel is leading us somewhere. 13 feet is equivalent to 4 meters. Then 1 meter is equivalent to how many feet? Who is doing the quick calculation there? Yes? My mathematics friends are all closed out. Huh? Friends, schools are opening. Are we going to be in trouble when the calculations are not coming through? Okay, okay, quickly, somebody. What is 13 divided by 4? Let me find out. 13 divided by 4. Maybe you type in the chat. What do you get when you take 13 divided by 4? Somebody has said 13 divided by 4 is equal to 3¼ feet. 3¼ feet. Okay, give me a quarter as a decimal. Give me a quarter as a decimal. Somebody is typing. Namtevi has given me 3¼ feet. So I want to give me 3¼ feet as a decimal. What is it? Somebody is either typing or saying it here. Oh, is it too early? 6:54. 6:54. Samuel Muhimbise says 3.25. Okay. So we are going to discover from the books, somebody is going to do research. What is the relationship between feet and meters? For the farmer is telling us that 1 meter has 3.25 feet in it. That's what we are getting from the farmer. 1 meter is equivalent to 3.25 feet. That is his estimate. Samuel has told us that one of the books said 1 meter is equal to 3 feet, not too far. But we need someone else now to say, when I checked in this book, this is what I found. And tomorrow we need to come up with the answer. We need to come up with the answer tomorrow on this so that we can have a final word. Okay, anything else, those who watched the video? We are going to watch another video taking us from the garden to the table. But before we get there, anything else? Maybe this farmer told us about a radius of 2 meters. What does he mean when he says radius of 2 meters? Does somebody get that fully understood? Radius of 2 meters. When he says, when you are digging the hole, dig a radius of 2 meters. And then he says, go down a depth of 4 feet. Now the feet are back, depth of 4 feet. Okay, maybe that is a harder question. But let me find out from Patrick. Patrick, this farmer talks about pests, and he said there is a formula from Narrow on banana wilt. Maybe we need to find out about this formula, Patrick. And I wrote here that we need to get that formula explained and we add it to this video. But have you heard about that formula, Patrick?
Mr. Dung, I most likely missed the formula because I was at the farm and running up and down. So I missed some parts of the video.
Unfortunately, he did not tell us what the formula is. So we need to find out. Narrow seems to have a formula for banana wilt, and they apply it to the soil. So we need to find Narrow to explain this so that we add it to this video so that the video is more complete. And then he also talks about nematodes, fighting nematodes. He says, add ash. And then he says you can also make a concoction of garlic, ginger, and something called paprika. This video will be uploaded somewhere and you can access it from our website. But he talks about concoction of garlic, ginger, paprika. Is that something you've heard about, Patrick?
I have personally used ash because I know ash, when it dissolves in water, it forms an acid, a weak acid, capable of burning the nematodes that are in that stem down. Usually they are in those rotten stems. So when you apply the ash, it dissolves with water, forming an acid which burns the nematodes. For the concoction, I haven't tried it myself, but I'm sure if it forms an acid, it will burn the nematodes. That is the science.
Now I can see we really need the chemistry people and biology people. We need the students. As you go back to school, you need to take this science with you and ask the teachers to figure out what form of weak acid is this that ash forms, and go to the gardens, collect nematodes, and try to subject them to this weak acid and see how they die off and whether they die off completely, such that as we talk to farmers about this, as you talk to your parents about this, and to improve your garden at home, you have the science. And this is what we are looking for. We are looking for the practical science. And the gentleman mentioned it. He said, if we do practical work, then we shall find reason for innovation. Then we shall open the mind for innovation. So if we don't do practical work, then we are not going to open the mind for innovation. So I wanted to just find out before we move to yet another video. I wanted to find out from the students here and probably whoever is joining us this morning, who of us feels that it would be important for their school to be, or the school where they are, to have a banana garden, or to have an improved banana garden like the one we have just seen from Site Farm? By show of hands, just raise your hand. I really want to find out whether the members here believe that schools should have such gardens. Who believes? Just put up your hand. Samuel believes, another Samuel, Shannon believes. 3 people on this call, 4 people, Dixon believes. Let me find out who else thinks this is possible. Okay, Mirembe also thinks that it's possible. So others, maybe they are listening to us and they are not participating in this, but at least 4 people this morning tell us that it would be important for us at Holistic E-Learning Platform to check on our schools and see whether they have banana gardens, or in that region, it may not be bananas, it may be potatoes, it may be Irish potato, it may be any other food crop. But we are looking at, and the gentleman said it. He said that when you are looking at setting up the garden, you must know the selection of the area. So in that area, do bananas grow? Maybe Irish potatoes grow better. Maybe sweet potatoes grow better. Maybe cassava grows better. But what is critical here is to have a learning garden. Having a learning garden and ensuring that there is practical work, because innovation will not come from the four-wall classroom. It will not. And we can see that now the chemistry and biology teacher ought to go and do that practical of forming a weak acid. When they're talking about weak acid, they're talking about alkalines, they're talking about the science. How do we discover that science? How do we get a taste of the science? When does it get applied? And then the students can now begin to think beyond how to create. Can you imagine somebody can now take ash into a lab, a production lab, and create a liquid, which is a weak acid, and then bottle it up, put it in drums, and then sell it to farmers. And he just needs to know how to preserve it so that it is always a weak acid. Otherwise, it can turn into a strong acid, which finally now burns the crop. So there could be a business line here. But how will the students discover the business line unless we introduce them to the business line? So as you go to your schools, as you think about your academics as holistic e-learning platform, we are going to follow up with schools, especially where our own students are, and we want to engage those schools to be able to open up their spaces, to create learning spaces, and to make learning a little more relevant. So unless somebody has a question on the earlier video and the earlier discussion we had, there are so many questions I've written here that I wanted to ask for clarity. Because the gentleman said there is another disease, Sigatoka, golden rust on leaves. It's spread by virus. And then he said cut off affected leaves and then use them for mulching. Now, if you use them for mulching, doesn't the virus keep in the garden? So that I remained asking myself that question, whether the virus does not remain now in the garden, and probably the farmers, the scientists would explain to us how that works. But maybe even what we learn in one video or in one farm, we cross-check it with another farm. So friends, if there are no questions, I want to invite you to watch our cook this morning. He's a boy, and for me that is inspirational. He's going to tell us how to prepare traditionally matoke. We have listened to growing matoke. You can learn a little more about growing matoke some other time. He's also going to tell us, and he was working with a team, a family team. They're going to tell us about the traditional way of cooking matoke and the food. And like I told you, we are looking at the traditional dishes, traditional food, traditional dishes, and their relevance to our lives, to our health, to our income, and whether it is not important for us to look back as we forge ahead in our lives. Can't we look back on what was traditional to us? After all, COVID-19 has asked us to look back. I imagine that many of you went through this, and you discovered that our own traditional crops, traditional fruits, traditional vegetables, traditional foods were called upon in the fight against COVID. And are we going to forget about that and wait for another COVID to come? I don't think so. So as Holistic E-Learning Platform, we have decided that we need to venture into our traditional food and see whether there is sustainability in that. So I want to invite you once again to watch another video, and then we shall reflect about that video afterwards. Enjoy yourselves.
Hello everyone, my name is Noah. I'm in Senior 1 and I go to Nyenga Seminary. These are my friends, Willis and Nicole, and today we are going to prepare a local meal.
To prepare this, we need the following. We need chicken for the luombo. We need mushrooms to mix with the guinea in the guinea and mushrooms luombo. For the chicken luombo, we need the following. We need onions, tomatoes, carrots, and green pepper.
We are also going to prepare matoke. A plate full of matoke is composed of 3/4 of water, which is very good for people who want to lose some fat in their bodies, and 1/4 of carbohydrates for those who are trying to build the body a little. And matoke almost have no protein because they are only rich in potassium. Potassium helps them, plays a role in them of regulating blood pressure in the body.
One serving of matoke has the same amount of energy calories as a cup of rice or roasted chicken.
In the mushrooms we have here, we know that they are only rich in protein. And in all the foods we have here, we know that the main nutrients are carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. In their natural states, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats are complex organic compounds that are very difficult for our bodies to break down.
For groundnuts, every 100 grams of groundnut sauce is composed of 7 grams of fat, 2 grams of protein, 4 grams of carbohydrates, the rest being minerals and vitamins, especially vitamin B6 and magnesium.
When in the matoke, in 450 grams of matoke, in 450 grams of matoke, every one of them, there are 174 grams of carbohydrates, 13 grams of proteins, and the rest are minerals such as magnesium and sodium.
Matoke can't be broken down without cooking. We can see this by trying to eat raw matoke or raw groundnuts with mushrooms. Besides, this is non-tasty. This is why we should cook them for these 2 reasons. To break down the complex organic molecules into simple ones that our bodies can digest, to get nutrition, and add taste to the food.
Cooking is simply applying heat to our food, and this heat can be applied in many ways, such as by roasting, smoking, frying, and today we are specifically here to see steaming. This heat breaks down the chemical bonds of the complex organic molecules, which are then reduced into simpler molecules.
For example, when starch granules swell and burst, they release oxygen. They release glucose. For proteins, when heated with water, their structures change, and some bonds between the proteins break, hence making the food soft.
And it is important to note that the nutritional content in the food before it's heated or cooked is the same nutrition. You find the same nutrients in the food right when it's presented on the plate.
Yes, steaming ensures that food cooks slowly, hence making it retain flavor from the steam that comes up.
Now let's wait for Noah to finish and we explain how we are going to cook our food.
In our tradition, we don't cook matoke alone, and so we add a side dish. In our case, yams are going to be our side dish.
And in yams, we know that yams are rich in calcium. They are rich in carbohydrates with 26 grams. They are rich in proteins with 2 grams, but they are not rich in fat as other foods we have here.
The benefits of yams are they help in boosting the brain function. They are rich in vitamins. They are rich in vitamins, proteins, carbohydrates, and so on. And they help in fighting cancer properties.
And sometimes on the matoke, you can also add potatoes as another side dish.
And now we are going to prepare our matoke.
After peeling, Noah has to wrap the matoke in banana leaves. But we know that the banana leaves can't hold the food alone. It has to have some extra support such that you can pull the food out of the saucepan or the thing you're using to cook it. So in our case, we are going to use banana fibers. That when he finishes wrapping, he can use the banana fibers because they are two, one at this side and one at the other side. You can just tangle them together and pull the food out.
Then we put more banana leaves so as to add another dish without wasting banana leaves.
These other banana leaves we add on, they prevent the matoke that's already there from passing through the banana leaves because naturally banana leaves are not very strong.
Then we wrap up our food so that we don't lose the heat as it starts to cook.
And the heat that's in the food is steam, because when the water evaporates, it turns into steam. And this steam is both moisture and heat, which will get trapped in the food, and the food will boil.
When preparing the luombo, you have to partly roast the banana leaves in order for the soup not to drain out.
Which in Uganda they are called mpombos.
This luombo was once this green, but since we are going to cook sauce from banana leaves, you have to partly roast it in order for the soup not to drain.
The mpombo, they turn it into this color. They roast it and it changes color, and it's stronger than the normal banana leaf because now it's able to catch all the soup and prevents it from pouring out of the. And the luombos are not supposed to be combined together because it will be a big mess. The groundnut luombo and the chicken luombo.
Let Noah show us how to make chicken luombo. Before we make the chicken luombo, the chicken has to be roasted, not with spices, but natural chicken has to be roasted in order for you to preserve it if you're to make the luombo the following day, or in order for the flavor that is on the chicken to mix up with the spices that we are going to mix with the chicken. And roasting gives the chicken color. We'll start by adding tomatoes to the chicken. Then green pepper for the flavor. Then we add the onions for the aroma. Then lastly, the carrots for the color. After this, we add some Irish potatoes for color. Then we add some salt to boost up the taste. Finally, add some water after mixing them. In order for this meal to be nutritious, we are not supposed to add in spices such as reiko, cinnamon, paprika, and so on,
such that our nutrients don't get lost during the process.
Take note that this meal is not, we are not using cooking oil, so as the meal is traditionally appetizing. We then wrap it up to prevent the juices from pouring out. We tie it tightly to prevent the sauce from pouring out. Then start with the groundnuts and mushrooms, luombo.
And now he has to pour the groundnuts into the luombo. He has to do it carefully, because if it doesn't, some food might be wasted. And now he adds in some mushrooms. He had to wash them to take off all the dirt that was on. Remember, our mushrooms are only rich in protein, thus making when people eat them, they'll get energy, or they'll get it, because proteins are body-building foods and energy-giving foods. And he adds in the remaining onions from the ones we used to put in the chicken luombo. Puts in salt for taste. Make no mistake of putting in a lot of salt because the luombo will now become too salty. So now he mixes in water in the mixture.
We basically use the mushroom water in order to add a nice aroma and taste.
He's going to wrap it up carefully, just like he did to the chicken luombo.
Then he has to wrap it up. Then he has to tie it tightly in order for the sauce not to pour out. After this, go back to our food and start arranging the food in order for cooking to take place.
Remember, we had yam, and now he has to put it on top of the food as the side dish. Puts the luombo on top of the matoke carefully so that it doesn't spill.
Make sure that the luombo is placed onto the food properly to avoid it from pouring. Our yam is then placed onto the food so that it may also be cooked. We then add on banana leaves so that when the water starts boiling, the steam may not escape from the food. In order to strengthen the food, he used one of the banana leaves that has already been used to cook. You wrap it around the hip in order for the steam not to pass through. Then finally, cover the food with another saucepan.
So then we are now ready to cook our food and go to the kitchen.
So after putting the food on fire, we wait for 2 to 3 hours for the food to get ready. After putting in the firewood and the fire, we put on the food and wait for 2 to 3 hours for the food to get ready. As our food is cooking, we are going to get some greens, which we are going to cook in order for us to get some roughage. Welcome to our kitchen. Here we are going to cook our greens, but we are going to use a gas cooker. First, we are going to put some water in our greens in order for them to boil. Then we add some salt. Mix. After that, we light our gas cooker in order to boil our greens. So first we switch on the gas, then we light the cooker. Then we leave our greens to boil for some time.
Noah, Nicole, and Kasule have given us a hearty meal. Even while you're away, you'll always find the children doing it right. To all those parents that have trained their little ones, we appreciate. Welcome to our lunch. Thank you for cooking. Thank you very much. Now the food is ready and we are going to serve it. Remember, we have the chicken and the groundnuts luombo. Ready. It is the chicken. Wow. There. It is the groundnuts. They are all ready. Ready to serve. And I know they're a delicacy. You already salivating because Noah, Nicole, and George have done it. The aroma. There. Oh, the mushroom. There. We serve it in a basket if it were in an open space, especially to the in-laws, but now that it's going to the dining table, we shall always use the dishes. Groundnut luombo. Oh, I'm already hungry. Thank you, Noah. Thank you, George. And thank you, Nicole. The chicken is already here. You remembered the Irish. This is great. Amazing. As colorful as he said. complete. It is now ready to eat. They did it right. I didn't have to be around. But since mealtime is family time, finally mother comes in to ensure that we all eat a hearty meal. Let's see if the matoke is ready. Wow. Wow. Hungry? Welcome. Amazing. So we are going to serve our matoke. You're wondering, how do we take it to the dining place when it's already down here? But we shall do it traditionally here. You see, it's the reason why these two were put on top of the food, so that we can now serve it on the plates. With the help of this, you get it right. Or right. And there. Daddy's at work. He has to find his meal ready. So we shall keep it. And we shall take it back to the kitchen to keep warm on the stove. But you ensure whether the water is still enough. And then we shall add water. Please take it. Cover it. And then let's take the food to the dining. Welcome.
It is the last dinner. It's the last dinner. Okay. Sorry, I had to open the gate for my child to go to school. So I moved off my laptop. Are you still hearing me?
Yes.
Yes.
So anything you have watched that has excited you? Yes, Alvin, go ahead.
Good morning, teacher.
Morning, Alvin.
Yeah, for me, what I've learned today are the minerals found inside the food they were eating. And we had the greens where the minerals they're getting refugees. Matoke, they are getting potassium. Mushrooms are getting proteins, and the groundnuts have vitamins and minerals. So they are getting vitamin E, magnesium, phosphorus, and copper. That's what I learned for today.
Okay, that the different foods have quite a number of minerals. Okay. Anyone else whose hand was up again? Samuel.
Yeah, I never knew that yams could fight cancer properties. So I learned that one also.
So we need to do more research there, isn't it, Samuel? You're
Yes.
going to Google yams and read about their medicinal value, right?
Yes.
As Alvin is also going to read along the different foods to get to know more of the nutrients there. Anyone else? Anyone else? Anyone else who learned something? Maybe let's talk about he told us, the chef told us that the cooking will take 2 to 3 hours. What is your comment about that vis-a-vis the chips and chicken? Hannah?
Teacher, I think that the cooking would maybe take 2 to 3 hours so that the meat could like cook until it is tender. And maybe because the fire will take some time to reach where the meat is, since like it was put in dagala, then there were mizingo when you're down. So sometimes it takes a bit of some time for the fire to first rise up to the other level first, because of the thing which are first placed down. The mizingo, you have to first become like warm or hot, then the water starts boiling, then the steam rises up. So maybe that's why it takes a bit long for the food to get ready.
What is the advantage of using steam to cook the food, other than just putting it in water and you boil it? What is the advantage? Did they mention something about that advantage?
I don't remember them mentioning something like that, but I think because maybe steam is moderate compared to just boiling it in water.
Okay, let's hear from Gabby. Gabby, and shut up.
Yes, why they don't put it directly in water is to prevent the food from being watery when it's being served.
To prevent the food from being watery. But they mentioned something, why they prefer steaming. Let's see if somebody listen to it. Of course, we are also going to research. We are going to research online. I don't know if our traditional ways have been documented on Google. One of you are going to Google and find out what is the advantage of steaming food than cooking it directly in water. Let's see if Google has documented our traditional ways. But it looks like our people of long ago who started these approaches must have had very good science in their head. And we need to figure out that science and conserve some of that science. So no one remembers that, but they mentioned it. This is a video which one needs to listen to over and over so that they can also do the same. Okay. Hannah, your hand is still up. Are you answering a little more on that? Alvin?
I would like to answer why steaming is better.
Okay.
Steaming uses gentle heat, does not burn or crush food, and prevents food from drying up.
Okay. Actually, they said it conserves the nutrients. You don't lose the nutrients. You don't lose nutrients to water you preserve nutrients when you steam up. So my question is, would you support cooking for 2 hours than quick cooking for 30 minutes and you eat? Anyone who wants to respond to that? Of course, why should I cook for 2 hours when I can cook for 30 minutes and I eat? I boil the rice, I cook the chips, and off I go. I boil the matoke. If I want matoke, off I go. Why should I cook for 2 hours? Yes, Gabriela.
I remember them saying to break down the food molecules properly so that they can be favorable for our stomachs to digest.
Wonderful. Wonderful. When we want to do quick fixes, we miss the point. And even in life, when you want everything cheaply, even me, a teacher, why should I bring this video to class to ask you to now write a composition about traditional food? Why don't I come and we just talk about traditional food on the blackboard? By the way, let me find out. If I was a teacher teaching about traditional foods in an English language, and it's a topic you're going to meet, and I come and talk to you about traditional foods, and another teacher comes with a video and then sets up a discussion, which of the two teachers would you go for and why? Let me just find out your views on this. I wish I had my English language teachers here, but Madame Reste dropped. Whom would you prefer and why? Is my question, okay, Gabby is here. Oh, Sam, okay. Samuel?
I would prefer.
Oh, Samuel, we have lost you.
I would prefer the one with the video.
And why, Samuel?
Because the one with the video looks like real than the one you're just talking about it.
It looks real. So real for what sense? Real for what sense? Gabby, your microphone was open at some point. Maybe we'll need to know your view there also.
I was requesting for you to repeat the question.
The question is, I have two teachers, teacher A and teacher B, and they're all going to teach about traditional food. Teacher A comes to class and talks about traditional food. And then teacher B brings this video in class. And after you watch the video, you now begin to talk about traditional food. Which of the two teachers would you prefer and why?
I would prefer the teacher who comes with a video because she shows you how it's done, other than the other who would just tell you, and you may not even get the experience to see what to put and what to use. The teacher might tell you we use these banana leaves, and then you're supposed to use somehow soft leaves, and then she's telling you just banana leaves.
Okay, Gabby, you say the experience and to see what to use. So would you want to do it after watching a video?
Yes, I would.
Alvin, your hand was, your microphone was open, Alvin. Okay, following up from the responses, I think the intention for education in any form is for us to carry the skill and repeat the experience and research more and build more knowledge and become experts in an area. And as we grow up, we become actors in a particular field. Now, like Gabi has said, she would like after. And I'm going to task those who can. Now we are going into the festive season. I would like us to focus on proper cooking during the festive season. And probably we take another afternoon. We come with this video. We come with ingredients. And we try out like we did the cooking. We ask the chef, Noah, and the team to guide us, and we cook. Who of us would like us to organize this sort of session one afternoon, and we try to cook? Now it is difficult, isn't it? Is there anyone who would like that to happen? Gabi would like that to happen. Samuel, are you saying something? Aya would like that to happen. Anyone else? Shannon would like, Samuel would like. Okay. Okay. Derek and Hannah wouldn't like. Yvette wouldn't like. Margaret wouldn't like. Marcel wouldn't like. Probably they wouldn't. Margaret says I would like. Alvin and Derek and Hannah, would you want to try a dish? Maybe.
Yes, please, teacher.
We are asking a question. Who would like to try out this sort of cooking? So that one afternoon, we do a session and we cook together. Now that we are going for Christmas. Yeah, but we might cook our traditional food, not only this matoke. We are talking about cooking traditional dishes. I would like that cooking, but need to buy the requirements before. Oh yes, we need to ask our parents. Okay, so we have agreed 7 out of, also part of that, we are 8 out of 12. Hannah also liked, so we are more, that we plan a session like we did for baking. We plan a session which is traditional dishes. And you can cook from your own tradition. Then we shall invite our chef and the team and maybe other chefs to lead us in different sessions so that we cook. As we get into Christmas, we have a meal. So friends, I picked a lot myself and I'm going to invite my science teachers, colleagues, to listen to this video and pick out learning items. We had about the carbohydrates, we had about the nutrients, we had about yams are rich in this, they boost brain function, they fight cancer, they have no fat. We need somebody to verify all that, but also we need to bring this experience in our lesson. And as teachers, we continue to look out for these opportunities to write new curriculum materials, new ways of teaching, so that when the chemistry teacher is going to talk about weak acids like we saw in the first video, then they bring the experience. If the biology teacher is going to talk about tests for carbohydrates, tests for proteins, tests for minerals, then they bring the foodstuffs And then we also test them when they are raw. We test them when they are cooked in water directly. We test them when they are steamed. And then we see the percentages of nutrients that are lost. And then we conclude. We need to have a research mind behind this. And at Holistic E-Learning Platform, this is what we want to enjoy doing. This is the research we are getting into. This is the learning we like to bring to everybody. And as you go to your school, we are definitely following up with you in your schools. We want you to start the health clubs. We want you to conduct the organization of these activities. We will have seminars across schools. We will have engagements across schools. We would like you to bring more people to holistic e-learning so that we continue the research. I just wanted to end by noting that from the chef this morning, I saw a lot of patience. I saw a lot of consistency. I saw teamwork at home because you saw the siblings working with him. I saw a lot of planning. There was a lot of planning, a lot of organization, a lot of innovation, a lot of creativity. There are issues of time management. As you cook, there is empathy for the others you're preparing for so that they get the right meals. I saw mathematical skills, ratios, estimates, a lot of mathematical skills. But I also noted a lot of scientific skills, trying to combine meals. What do I add with what? When I bring peanuts and bring chicken, and chicken is roasted, and toke, and the yams, you're bringing a lot of scientific skills together to make a good meal. And then you bring the vegetables. That was wonderful. So I could see this young boy who is a chef at this early age getting into quite a number of skills. And we cannot learn these skills by sitting in the forward classroom on the blackboard. We can only get these skills by doing activities, by being practical. And at Holistic E-Learning Platform, that is what we call holistic education. And that's why we are asking all our colleagues, we are asking the education system to change the way the education system is running in our schools. And hopefully, with you, by the time you get to senior 4, by the time you complete your secondary education, we shall have built a lot of knowledge, a lot of enthusiasm, and maybe at one time we shall see a change in our education system. It's been wonderful having you on this call this morning. I'm sure we have learned a lot together. And let us catch up again tomorrow at 6 a.m. on the Early Bird Farmer Series. May I request someone to pray for us as we exit this morning? Someone to pray?
Me?
Go ahead, Gabby.
Yes. I'm also God of prayer. Having Father, we want to thank you for this day. We want to thank you that you brought us safely. That I want to thank you that you kept us safely here at night. Having Father, as we are going to go throughout this day, we pray that you may send us to guardian angels and the Holy Spirit to be with us, especially everything that we are going to do. Help us to do the right thing in the right place, the right time, right? In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen. Thank you, Gabby, for praying for us. Thank you, everyone, and have a nice day. Enjoy your time. Those will be taking tests this afternoon. Please enjoy your test. And don't forget that on Friday, there will be, probably not for many of us here, but for other classes, they're taking tests this afternoon, and on Friday, they'll have a mathematics seminar. But for senior 1 to B and senior 5 to B, we'll continue with our lessons And don't forget to invite your parents for the class day meeting on Saturday 11 for senior 1 to be at 2 p.m., for senior 5 to be at 11 a.m. I will be sharing those messages again in your own platform. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.